I'm Deontay Jenkins, and here's what's on my mind. In cinema, there are 2 points of view that can be shown: the objective and the subjective. An objective point of view gives the audience information, meaning it shows you practically what's going on in the scene and what's going on in the shot. Usually the objective point of view doesn't have any kind of emotional attachment to it. It's used to deliver the information to progress the scene forward. Now, on the other hand, the subjective point of view goes a bit deeper. It's used to put the audience in the mindset of the character. It allows you to feel what they're feeling and think what they're thinking. And that's what we're talking about today, the subjective point of view. But before we do that, if you want to learn more about cinema and filmmaking and how it works, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tell me in the comments down below what's your favorite moment of subjectivity in film. Give this video a like if you learned something. A powerful way to show a subjective point of view is by using a point of view shot. A point of view shot shows you what the character is seeing, allowing the audience to literally be inside of their head. Like in Silence of the Lambs when Clarice and Hannibal Lecter meet for the first time. We're putting Clarice's head as she walks up to Hannibal Lecter's cell with this POV. But it doesn't stop there, we go inside of each of their heads. Initially we're inside of Clarice's as she tries to get Hannibal Lecter to take this test for her, in order to help her and the FBI solve the Buffalo Bill murders. But we see when Hannibal becomes interested in the conversation, we switch to his POV. These POV shots are shown with beautiful close-ups. The director Jonathan Demme is known for his close-ups and known for his point of view shot. He made an entire art form out of it, and you can see it all through his work. Jonathan Demme once said,
"You've got to work yourself into the subjective camera. You can't just sort of pop into it." I definitely wanted to use subjective camera style, which is of course a technique that Hitchcock sort of legitimized.
And Hitchcock used it to perfection in a number of his films. But one that stands out in particular is this scene from Marnie. Just as Jonathan Demme suggests, we ease our way into it, starting in a wide 2-shot, and we continuously get closer and closer, until finally we're in Marnie's head. A director doesn't usually want to just drop their audience into somebody's head. It's less effective that way. We don't have an attachment to the characters or to the emotions that they're feeling in the scene. Just like how you need to build to a moment in a scene, the shots have to build to being in somebody's point of view. Check out how Darren Aronofsky uses it in Black Swan. We stay, for the most part, pretty close to Nina during this scene. We see her doing a pretty good job auditioning for the White Swan, and the camera mirrors this. It's a lot more graceful and floaty. But after Nina hears these comments,
"I was only guessing the White Swan should be yours. But I'm not."
we, the audience, can feel the tension build. Now she needs to prove herself even further. She's been striving for perfection this entire film up until this point. So now we're even tighter on her. We're uncomfortably close to her. This is a very conscious decision made by the director. Even the decision to shoot on Super 16 film rather than 35mm is a conscious one. Super 16 gives you less space, so you're tighter in the frame, even with a wider lens. And because we're so close to her, we can see the desperation on her face. We can see the desire to be perfect. All the way up until we finally get in her head. We're showing her dizzying point of view in her pursuit for perfection. But it's not enough just to get inside a character's head. You need to have a reason to be there. We want to be in their head, but we want to feel what they're feeling as well. Like in Silence of the Lambs. This is not a comfortable scene for Clarice, and we see this from the beginning before she even gets to Hannibal Lecter's cell. Look at how the camera moves. Look at the slow pace in which everything is going. Everything around her is making her uneasy. Finally, when we get to Hannibal Lecter, the level of unease is raised. And you can see that in the framing of her point of view shots. Look how tight we are on Hannibal Lecter's face. I personally don't want to be this close to very many people, but this is done deliberately. Jonathan Demme is trying to tell us something. We can have a point of view without being this close to somebody. In fact, Jonathan Demme himself has point of views in his filmography without being this close to people. But because Clarice is feeling uneasy, we're meant to feel uneasy. But a point of view shot isn't the only way to show subjectivity. Watch as the camera dollies in on Hannibal Lecter. Look at what the reverse does to Clarice. It's extremely subtle and hardly noticeable, but look as the camera moves away from her. This gives even more of a feeling of unease without being in a point of view shot. In Marty, you can feel the unease in two shots, and this, and this. It's an extreme low angle on Marty and an extreme high angle on Mark. This shows the off-balance power dynamic that's happening right now. Mark, who is Marnie's husband, is forcing himself on her. And as we've seen in previous shots, she does not want this at all. But Marnie's unease is not the point of the scene. It's Marnie's detachment as her husband forces himself on her. Take a look at this. Now compare that to Clarice's face. Does Marnie's face look like the face of someone who's uneasy? Not at all. Everything in this scene is telling us that this is a moment of detachment. It's the exact moment when she detaches herself from what's going on. She'd rather not be present in this scene. This is a face of detachment, and I'll tell you why in a second. Again, subjectivity is putting yourself inside of the person, not just inside of their vision, but inside of them emotionally. In Black Swan, as Nina starts to unravel and she becomes more and more unstable, so does the camera. We see the handheld camera work throughout the film becoming less and less stable. It's the subjective camera of a person who is always on the move, a dancer who cannot stop moving. Her motion is the pursuit of perfection, and as she becomes more and more perfect, she becomes more and more unstable, and so does the camera. This is taking the subjective camera way beyond just one scene. We're being put in her mind for the entirety of the film. It's no longer a matter of how she feels in a scene, it's a matter of how she's feeling throughout the entire film. So when we see this instability, we also feel it, and it's all building towards something. With everything in film, there has to be a payoff, and that includes subjectivity. What is the payoff of us being inside of these characters? You would think it's the feeling, but no, there has to be a payoff beyond that. Why are we feeling their feelings? The number one question that you should always ask is why. With Clarice, it seems like we're not going to get that payoff. Like we felt these uneasy feelings and then she's sent packing. Hannibal had been playing mind games with Clarice since she walked up to a cell. And logically, she had no way of winning the scene and getting what she wanted. So the audience is taken out of her subjective perspective and put back in the objective as she leaves the scene. But when this happens, Hannibal decides to change his mind and not give her exactly what she wants, but compromise and let her walk away feeling like she's accomplished something. And that's when we get this final shot. It's a low angle pushing on the two of them, and it's a new kind of subjectivity. Now we have the feeling that they are working together and they are a team for the rest of the film. And to an extent they are. And Marnie, the payoff comes by emphasizing the detachment. Watch this. Some people would argue that this is no longer a subjective shot, but an objective shot. Those people would be wrong and stupid. Don't listen to them. And we know this because of the film language that was used throughout the scene. We worked our way into Marnie's subjective perspective, and we're still in it when we get this POV. The very next shot is this shot here. That is the payoff. That's us along with Marnie being detached from the scene. Not turning our heads and hiding from what's happening in the scene, but literally detaching ourselves as Marnie does. Remember when I said I'd tell you why this was a face of detachment? It's because of this shot. We could have stayed here and then cut away, hiding us from the horrors of what's going on. But just like Marnie, we're still in the room. She can't escape it, so we're not escaping it. The only thing we can do is detach ourselves. When you're in somebody's subjective point of view, you can't escape what they're feeling. Just like we can't escape what Nina is feeling in Black Swan. She's losing her mind in the pursuit of perfection. We watch her slowly unravel before our eyes. But the payoff comes at the end when that perfection is finally realized. For those who haven't seen Black Swan, I won't show you the ending. But Nina's tragic payoff has been a constant build of subjectivity throughout the film. If an audience is to feel what a character is feeling in a film, subjectivity is the key. Showing what they're thinking and what they're feeling, and building that to a payoff that allows the audience to feel what the director wants them to feel and what the character is feeling in the scene is not easy. But it's important so that the audience can be drawn deeper into the experience of the film. Whether it's done through point of views or subjective camera movement, or even an unstable camera. Subjectivity is the thing that puts the audience in the film and gives them an emotional attachment that makes them feel every moment of what's going on. And it's something that all films need to go from an audience being told a story to an audience experiencing it. But then again, what do I know? Thanks again for watching, guys. If you want to know more about cinema and how it works, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like if you think it was cool. In the comment section down below, tell me what do you think. You can follow me here on social media. My latest short film is right here and in the description below. Make sure you come on back because I think you're pretty cool. And I will see you next time. Peace.